Time Sheriff Deputy Martinez rapped on my cabin door with his hand balanced on his service weapon. 14-year-old nephew Jaden was practically in tears, holding a half-eaten s'more like it was critical evidence in a murder trial. The poor child just kept stuttering that no, he was not a juvenile vagrant, and yes, he was allowed to be there. And could someone tell him why the police were acting like he'd stolen a bank rather than toasted a marshmallow from behind her cleverly placed rose bush fortress located over the dirt road? Doy Hargraves, HOA secretary and self-proclaimed custodian of all that is decent and right in Pine Ridge Estates, was yelling loud enough to awaken the deceased. That child isn't registered. This is an unauthorized overnight stay in a recreational facility. Have paperwork. She was brandishing a clipboard like Moses with the 10 Commandments. Her voice hitting that special note that sends dogs whining and grown men contemplating witness protection. I spotted 3 other neighbors hanging over their curtains, likely live tweeting the entire spectacle. Picture her face when I emerged from the woods wearing my complete state-issued uniform, badge shining in the sunlight of the afternoon, my own official clipboard clutched in my hand, and proclaimed in my most professional tone, "Ma'am, I'm Russell Strickland, senior zoning attorney for Jefferson County. And I'm also the person who wrote the municipal code you're misquoting, and you're quoting it incorrectly." She attempted to give me a citation for wearing an excessive amount of sarcasm in a public area. I'm not kidding. She really pulled out a pink slip and began doodling. Let me take it back a step. My name's Russell Strickland, 47 years of age, and I've been writing zoning codes and municipal ordinances for Jefferson County for the last 23 years. It's not the most thrilling job in the world, but it's well paid, keeps my mind active, and every now and then gets me moments of sheer poetic justice like this. The cabin involved has been in my family since 1982 when my grandfather purchased it as a retirement project. It perches on 2 acres of pine-shaded heaven on the periphery of Pine Ridge Estates, technically inside the neighborhood, but about a decade before the HOA came into being. I've been taking my nephew Jaden up on weekends lately to learn the important lessons in life. How to trout fish in the creek. How to chop wood without losing a toe. How to sit on a porch and sit silently in judgment of your neighbors like a good country gentleman. 2 bad Pine Ridge Estates had fallen victim to an HOA issue. And that issue came with a face. Doy Hargraves, retired substitute librarian, current Pine Ridge HOA board president, and full-time pain in every rear end. One woman had once made a complaint in writing regarding a family of cardinals that were nesting in a dogwood tree because their singing disturbed the ambient noise limit between 6 o'clock and 8 a.m. Her favorite pastime was measuring grass height with a ruler, making too much holiday cheer complaints every December, and campaigning for a neighborhood ordinance that would mandate all cats to wear small identification badges. I wish I was fabricating that. The trouble began on a just normally ordinary Saturday morning. Jaden and I had driven up the night before for a weekend of fishing and escaping civilization. At 10 a.m. Saturday, he was out constructing a fire in our approved fire ring, a nice concrete circle that the county fire marshal himself had inspected and okayed. The kid was adhering to all safety procedures I'd ever taught him, even had the garden hose at hand just in case. That's when Hurricane Doy hit land. I was in the house brewing coffee when I heard her voice slicing through the morning program like a rusty chainsaw. Young man, you stop that right away." She was standing on the border of our property wearing an outfit that could likely be seen from outer space, gesturing at Jaden as if he personally caused the fall of Western civilization. Jaden, for goodness sake, attempted politeness. "Good morning, ma'am. I'm just beginning to light the morning fire for cooking up some breakfast. My uncle is indoors. If you'd care to talk to him." "Your uncle? Where are your parents? Are you even supposed to be here? This is arson borderline behavior. I'm recording this." Came the phone. Click, click, click. Pictures from all sides like she was a crime scene photographer. Poor Jaden just stood there with a piece of kindling, confused. The next morning, I received a typed note stuck under my windshield wiper. 5 single-spaced pages of HOA infractions. It seemed like all minors were required to be registered temporary residents with the HOA Safety and Visibility Committee. She'd even sent a temporary minor guest application form that was 8 pages long and had 3 character references, insurance verification, and oddly vaccination records. At the end, she'd added a handwritten note. Your nephew's presence is an unregistered occupancy. Submit Form 7B in 72 hours or get fined. I shared it with Jaden over pancakes. He read it twice, then gave me that big brown-eyed look. Uncle Russ, am I in trouble? Do I do something bad? That's when I figured Doy Hargraves was going to find out why you don't play games with a man who makes laws for a living. The citations never stopped. Monday, we had a notice of unauthorized minor presence on community bordering property. Tuesday saw a warning for being too joyful after quiet hours due to the fact that Jaden had laughed too loudly at 9:15 p.m. playing cards. Wednesday's mail saw a formal complaint for non-approved recreational activities because somehow teaching a teenager how to whittle is threatening to neighborhood stability. I let her dig her hole deeper. All the citations, all the pictures, all the passive-aggressive letters went into a folder I titled Exhibit A through F. My nephew believed I had lost my mind, just grabbing these silly documents with a smile and putting them in a folder. Trust the process, I said to him. Thursday afternoon, she took it up another notch. I was sitting in the cabin going over some county codes when Jaden ran into the room, face red and gasping. Uncle Russ, there is a woman outside with a camera on a stick, and she is attempting to peer into our windows. Sure enough, there was Doy, as bold as brass, standing on my property with what appeared to be a selfie stick duct taped to a painter's pole, attempting to point her phone camera through our kitchen window. When she spotted me, she didn't even have the decency to appear embarrassed. I'm doing a welfare check. This kid's been here 6 days without proper paperwork. This is a safety concern. Ma'am, you're trespassing on private property and trying to record minors without permission. That's 2 possible felonies. You want to go for 3. She really pulled out her citation pad once again, threatening an HOA board member in the discharge of their duties. I laughed. I couldn't help but. Doy, you can't cite me for doing a job description. Literally, it's my job. She stalked off, but not before yelling, "We'll see what the authorities have to say about this." I should have known she'd follow through on the threat. Friday morning, I was taking Jaden along the trail behind the cabin and teaching him how to recognize various animal tracks when I heard doors slamming on cars. We rushed back and discovered a Jefferson County Sheriff's Patrol vehicle in our driveway, its lights flashing. Deputy Martinez, a man I recognized from several county meetings, was at our door while Jaden perched on the porch steps, wide-eyed with fear. Doy stood over him, quivering with indignation. That's him, officer, the adult male who has had this unregistered minor in his custody. She was gesturing at me as if I were America's most wanted. I have records of numerous abuses. I stepped forward slowly, digging for my wallet in my back pocket. Deputy Martinez, nice to see you again. What's the problem? His eyes opened a little wider upon seeing my official county identification. Mr. Strickland. Sir, we had a complaint regarding potential child endangerment and an unapproved adult keeping a child in a quote wooded building of dubious safety standards. I nodded solemnly. Is he? And did Mrs. Hargraves add the fact that this child is my nephew, that I have written approval from his parents, and that this wooded building is a fully approved residential cabin that has been in my family for 42 years? Well, no, sir, she didn't say that part. Did she also omit to say that this cabin is on land that's been in existence 10 years prior to the Pine Ridge HOA charter, and so is exempt from their regulation authority according to County Ordinance 23-4, subsection C? Dew's face was developing an alarming purple color. That is incorrect. All lots within the boundaries of Pine Ridge are under HOA jurisdiction. In fact, I whipped out my phone and showed Deputy Martinez the statute in question. That ordinance was later modified in 2018 to grandfather existing structures. Should know. I authored the amendment. The deputy looked for me to do, then back to me. So there is no violation here. Oh, there are quite a number of violations, I said cheerfully. False report to the police, harassment of a minor, invasion of private property, attempted illegal surveillance, and misuse of emergency services. Would you prefer that I make an official complaint? Doy almost screamed. You can't do this. I'm the president of HOA. Have power. Smiled. As a matter of fact, let's discuss that power. Deputy, do you know anything about the county HOA oversight board? He nodded slowly, clearly understanding where this was heading. Because I'm going to file a formal complaint with them first thing Monday morning. I've recorded 17 examples of Mrs. Hargraves overstepping the bounds of her statutory powers, such as trying to enforce non-existent rules, harassment of legal occupants, and my own personal favorite, flying a drone over my land to monitor tiny firewood handling techniques. I pulled out my phone and displayed him the crystal-clear video I'd taken of a drone flying over our cabin. Dated Thursday, 2:47 p.m. He has a drone. Deputy Martinez did seem surprised. How did you manage to record that? Doy stuttered. Your drone has a live link to your phone, Doy. You were streaming to Facebook Live. My neighbor shared the link. You may want to review your privacy settings. But the real kicker, the video she had accidentally broadcast in front of the whole world included good video of herself trespassing on my land to launch the drone. She'd effectively recorded her own offense and posted it to 300 of her closest Facebook friends. Monday morning, I strolled into the county administrative complex with a grin on my face and a briefcase full of justice. First stop, the HOA Oversight Board, where I lodged a formal complaint with 47 pages of supporting paperwork. Marcy, the clerk who'd known me for 15 years, whistled low when she saw the stack. Somebody done messed up, huh, Russell? You could say that. Hey, while I'm here, can you pull the file on proposed Ordinance 48B? The one about recreational property use. I thought that was tabled. It was. I'm untabling it. Ordinance 48B was something I wrote 2 years ago after another HOA attempted to keep individuals from parking on their own property. It clearly delineated that HOS could not limit lawful recreational use of properties that were grandfathered in unless they had majority land control and a unanimous board decision. The county commissioners adored it because it safeguarded property rights without banning legitimate HOA activities. By Wednesday, I had gathered sworn affidavits from 7 neighbors who were, as they put it, sick and fed up with Doy's antics. It turned out I wasn't her sole victim. She'd complained against the Johnsons for having a bird bath that had too many birds. She'd attempted to locate the Weatherbees for the facial expression of their garden gnome being too playful. She'd actually taken the distance from Tom Bradley's cans and cited him for being 4 inches outside the assigned placement area. The hearing would be held the next Tuesday. I ensured that I got there early, dressed in my suit of choice and toting my briefcase like an attorney going to war because that's exactly what I was. Doy arrived with her own pile of papers and what appeared to be a PowerPoint presentation on her laptop. She'd even brought a laser pointer along. The 5-member board of directors sat silently while she made her case. Our community's safety, especially the safety of children, is most important. Mr. Strickland's blatant violation of HOA regulations opens the door to more violations. It was my turn next. I got up, adjusted my tie, and I started. Board members, I'm here today not only as a property owner, but as a person who spent more than 20 years developing the very laws that govern our neighborhoods. What we have here is a textbook example of HOA abuse of every one of them. I outlined each method of violation carefully. The trespassing, the harassment, the drone surveillance she'd inadvertently put on the public record, the abuse of law enforcement resources. With every shred of evidence, Doy slid further down in her chair. But the coup de grace was the Facebook Live video. I pulled a laptop into the meeting room and plugged it into the projector. There was Doy in glorious HD reciting her drone flight like some suburban spy film. And there she is, obviously trespassing on my property without so much as a by your leave to deploy her spy gear. That's trespassing. And here's where she admits on tape that she's aware that I'm a county employee, but doesn't care because the HOA is somehow higher on the food chain. That's interesting and dead wrong. The board didn't hesitate. The vote was unanimous. Doy Hargraves was convicted of several infractions, fined $3,000, and prohibited from serving on any HOA board in Jefferson County for 5 years. But wait, it gets better. Recall that Ordinance 48B I told you about. It passed the county commission vote the following week, essentially muzzling Pine Ridge's capacity to harass cabin owners. Commissioners even dubbed it the Recreational Property Protection Act. Though around the county building, everyone just calls it DOIS.